technology at its best.
Always. It's great when it works.
Yes. And then, all right, we're live, I think. I said I thought
Hey,
that last time too. So let's see how good I do at this tech. You would think I would be good at this. I just did it like an hour ago, but
hey,
apparently, yeah, it's challenging. It's making. We are back. What is up, everyone? It is Will, aka Crazy Laser Dad, talking all things Shopify today with my friend Heather, who was one of our amazing speakers at Next Level Laser Conference, and she shared a great deal of knowledge at Next Level about Shopify. We had such great feedback, and I still have to share some of those with you. And the video should be coming out here shortly. But I thought, why not bring her and introduce her to the rest of the community? Some of you might already know her, but I won't assume that you all do. So, Heather, if you'd love to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey in the maker community, and we
sure.
can go from there.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for having me, Will. I really appreciate it. I was telling my husband and a few friends the other day that I think one of my highlights of the year has been going out to Texas and Next Level Laser and just connecting with all the makers there. So I really appreciate that opportunity. For those of you who don't know me, I am Heather Bennett. I live in Fernandina Beach, Florida, which is a great little community, also known as Amelia Island. And about 10 years ago, I lost my job doing network marketing, and I was 8 months pregnant, so I had to come up with something. So I decided to bring crafts into people's houses and use the network that I had already built and start doing craft parties. And that's, after a year, turned into our first brick and mortar space that we were in for 3 years. And then 3 years later, we purchased the building we're currently in, which is about a mile from our downtown. So our primary focus is still DIY parties. We do open paint Tuesdays through Saturdays and then have evening parties as well, private parties. We do epoxy, sea glass, a little bit of everything. But then going into the last few years, we've gotten the lasers, the UV, and currently I have a sandblaster sitting on my porch I have to set up today. So we do a little bit of everything. But with that, I've learned as I've grown, and Shopify is the platform that I chose 9 years ago. And I've learned so much, and it has adapted a ton in the last 9 years too. So it's just kind of become a passion of mine to help others realize that it's not so hard.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully my microphone, I got a couple messages that my microphone is sounding a little weird. I adjusted some settings, so hopefully that works. If it isn't, please let me know. Um, Man, I'm just having all there was no technical difficulties at the last live, so I am definitely feeling it now. Now I feel like I'm under pressure. Like the camera was not working, I wasn't going live, and now I'm just like flustered. Uh, but so I hear I hear a lot of people who start out in this industry and say we start out selling locally or we sell on Etsy or Marketplace. What made you decide to make the jump to Shopify? And what are some of the advantages of Shopify versus some of the other platforms that you might be on?
Sure. So I have always felt like if you're going to have a business, you need a website because it builds that know, like, and trust. So even when I was just starting out, I had the Facebook page. And I think my first party, I tried to do like Google Forms where people would fill it out, and then I'd try and manage whether or not I did the order or I didn't do the order, and I couldn't collect payment. And then they wouldn't show up, and it got really messy really fast. And so that's where I did start on Squarespace, and it was easy, but it didn't have a lot of features to help me realize how many variants I would need for the different designs and board types that we offered. And then I started Wix, and for whatever reason, that seemed like German to me, and I just could not navigate it. So it might have its place, but I didn't like it. And so in doing some research, I started on Shopify, and I loved the ease of payment processing. It actually, in comparison to all of our local banks, had the lowest credit card processing fees. So that was really big to me, especially just starting out. And then the thing that I loved about Shopify is I felt like it was kind of like the stretchy pants you wear at Thanksgiving, because it is comfortable at first, but it grows with you. And our business has definitely grown and flexed and ebbed and flowed. For example, like all of our products, they can purchase as a workshop project a DIY kit or a finished project. So I needed a really robust platform that was going to allow people to have all those choices without me having to list it 3 different times. So that's why I chose Shopify.
Yeah, I know another reason. A lot of people, we were talking earlier when I was on live earlier with the other Heather, she was talking about, a few people were concerned about Etsy and getting their shop shut down or not knowing exactly what was happening, that they were beholden to another company. So not having all your eggs in a basket. So for like even for yourself, or I know like Mark, he had his Etsy page for years, and then he decided to get his own website as well. And he still keeps the Etsy page, but he has his own website as well. So you need to just make yourself easier to find for customers.
Yes. And I think I'm glad you brought that up because the other reference point, I'm on Etsy as well. It's a great platform and you're going to cross market with a whole nother audience. So it's got its place. But by their procedures, you can't retarget and remarket their email addresses. So by having Shopify, I own that information of my customers. I can retarget them, I can market, and it's your little corner of the world. So you're not relying on anybody else's sudden changes and ebbs and flows. You get to just be kind of a steady shop.
Yeah, that's important to have control of your shop, control of your information. So, like you said, if you wanted to email market, if you needed to send them to another site, if you needed to showcase new products or new services coming out, that's a great opportunity. So, I know we've all had the fear of Etsy shutting us down. We've all had the fear of uh, Facebook closing profiles or closing pages. And if you're relying on only one source to reach all of your customers, you're doing yourself a disservice. So being in control of your own um, ecosphere as far as all of your customers makes it so much easier to communicate with them. So developing those email lists and getting control of that helps. Uh, we have I'm going to ask some questions and we're going to just have conversation because it's going to go back and forth on certain things. But I have people, if you have questions, feel free to ask them in the chat and I'll ask Heather. Hannah asked, is it easy to switch from Wix to Shopify? And what would you say is the benefit of one versus the other? I think you touched a little bit about the difference of Shop versus Wix, but for someone who might be on a different platform, how easy is the transition over to Shopify?
So building a Shopify page in itself is not that hard. It's really, especially, I feel like it's once you have any sort of website set up where you have your copy and you have your photos and you know your products, that's the hardest part. The rest is really just almost a copy and paste into the next program. As far as your products, there are apps like Shuttle and different things. If you have a large catalog that can help port that over, or you can download it as a CSV and then upload it into Shopify so all the products can come over. I am a control freak, so I like to add my products individually and make sure I have all the buttons clicked the right way. But there are a lot of ways to do it. And if you one service that I do offer and it's completely free, because I'm a Shopify partner, I can set up development stores. So if you just want to play and see if it makes sense to you, you can head to my website and click development store. It fills it out like a little form and I can set it up, and there's no limit to like a free trial. You can sit on it for 6 years if you wanted to, and you just let me know when you're like, oh yeah, I want to actually put this one live, and I click a button and it's all yours. So it's an option if you're not sure about the platforms.
Oh, good. So there's like almost like a trial, but not a
Yeah,
limited time trial. Like you said, no one would wait 6 years, but hey,
you never know. I mean,
let's
and
start
that's the
somewhere.
thing. It's like trials are great. Shopify has, I think, $1. It's like $1 trial for 3 months. But I just know, especially in retail season or life happens, I sign up for trials and then I get derailed and I forget about it. And then you end up getting charged for something you're not using. And I hate that. So,
Yes, multiple subscriptions of things that I no longer use that I still get charged for, and I see it every month, and I say, "Oh, I need to cancel that." And then I get sidetracked and then I don't cancel it. Or I think, well, I can't cancel it now. I have to wait until near the end of the month to get my benefits. And then it just never happens. And I'm
exactly.
still getting my Reader's Digest every month. So I'm just aging myself.
I love
Don't
that.
mind me. So who would you suggest, or what would you suggest for people if they are someone who is new, would you suggest starting out with a Shopify site from the beginning, maybe doing Etsy, doing both? I know, like you said, transferring from one to the other can be daunting if you have hundreds and hundreds of listings. So
Mhm.
would you suggest maybe, hey, starting from the beginning so that you are up to date right from the start?
Yes. If you are just starting out, I absolutely would recommend starting with Shopify because it's kind of like hanging a literal, what are they called those? I'm thinking of like Scrooge where they hang their nameplate outside of your window, but it's your digital footprint. It's your corner of the space. So start your Shopify site. And then what's great about Shopify is it connects with so many different apps. So I can add a product on Shopify and it's going to post over to Faire. It'll post on Amazon if you're connected with them. It'll post to Etsy. It'll post to my Pinterest. It'll connect with my TikTok. And so it can be your central hub where you're getting everything locked in. And then it's going to do half that work for you versus having to start here and then pull them all back together.
Yeah, yeah, that's the big daunting part for a lot of, I think even for file sellers, it's or product sellers is, oh man, I have so much here on this platform already. To bring it over is such a pain. So for those of you who are starting, if you
Mhm.
start at the beginning with it, it just makes it consistent to be able to get your products in there quickly. And even if you're not driving sales to your site at the moment, it's a good way to start. And then when you do send people there, you have all your products already there.
Mhm. Well, and you can
So
even just use
def-
your Shopify like a landing page where if you're meeting somebody out in the community or you're doing a pop-up vendor event, instead of sending them to a generic Etsy link where they can get distracted by all the other sellers on Etsy, then you send them to yours and you can direct them to your Etsy. You could direct them to your Facebook or your hub, whatever you're doing as you're building, but that's your digital footprint. And so you get to control the traffic.
Yeah, and I love the fact I know Mark and I have talked multiple times of we need to make it easy for people to find us. When I first started, it was like you said, Google Forms, it was Messenger, it was a text message, it was a Facebook message, and if I don't respond, or if even on Marketplace, when I post on Marketplace in the beginning, if if they're looking for a certain item, they're probably sending out 3 or 4 requests, and if I don't respond, someone else is getting that sale. Now we've all shopped at 2 o'clock in the morning on Amazon, or we've shopped everywhere at, wee hours of the day, and if I could just do that where I can just go to a site and shop versus wait for, Heather to message me back and you have life going on and it's 2 in the morning where you are, but it's 5 in the morning somewhere else and you don't get back to them. This makes it so convenient for people to actually see your products and order from you more easy. So um, we do have a question here from Stephanie. She said, "Do you have any tips for titles for Shopify?" I'm not exactly, maybe product titles. Is there something that attracts people more so?
So, and I should have my notes in front of me, and I actually don't. But I always try to make sure that your keywords are in your titles that people are going to look for. So you don't want to be really crazy specific on uh, features that we would only know as makers. I always think of my titles as what would Grandma Betty try and put in if they're searching for my product. So I'm going to put things like personalized Amelia Island map. So that way, when they're looking for like a personalized gift, I'm going to rank in that keyword. Maps, or epoxy, things that customers are actually going to look for and actually going to search for. That's what you want to have in your titles. And make sure that you're being as specific on keywords. Don't get all into the details of maker terms, I think is what I'm trying to say. Like they don't care if it's sandblasted or if it's UV printed or things like that. That can go in your details, but what are they going to search for?
Yeah, so think of it as what you as a consumer are looking for, not what you as a maker, as far as like the process of it, right? So they're not, like you said, they're usually not searching some of those very specific things, but make it where they can find the right things for it. Um, I think for me, when I was transitioning into my own website, the fear of before I really got into it was how difficult it is to start a Shopify site. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to code. I don't know how to create a website. This is going to be a pain. So can you kind of maybe dive a little deeper into how simple it can be, or what themes are and how is it click and, drag, things of that sort?
Absolutely. So 5 years ago, Shopify, you had to do a lot of coding and their pages were very boring. And you had to use extra apps like Pagefly and things to customize, which just increased your cost. So it was a little annoying. In the last few years, they've really changed that where it is a drag and drop editor. You go into your online store, you select your theme. I'm a big proponent of their new Horizon theme. Really, in the free themes, there's about 23 of them, maybe 32 now, but there really is only two main themes. There's a dawn component and then there's horizon. And you can find a list very easily on a quick Google search, or I can try and post it on my page after this. But the dawn themes are like they're tried and true. They've been around forever and they're all just different color variations and layouts of them. They're great and they've worked for years. However, they're going to be what Shopify is phasing out. So they're going into the Horizon theme era, if you want to say. And what it allows is AI blocks, meaning they have set presets of blocks, like here's a photo on this side and text on this side, and then here's your layout of collections. What the AI blocks allows you to do is if one of those doesn't fit what you're looking for, maybe you're trying to emulate a page that stands out to you or a certain feature, you can type into it and say, I need 3 buttons next to each other with a photo below it. And it's going to write that code for you in there and save it, pop it over. So now all you're doing is clicking on that photo and adding your actual photo, clicking on those buttons and linking them to where you want them to go. So Horizon makes it really easy. And there's a couple variations of it, but it has a lot of capabilities. And that's where Shopify is going to be focusing its efforts on updates. And so that's where if you were just getting started, or if you feel like your website's really clunky, that's where I would be going over to, is trying to add into that Horizon theme. As far as how long it takes to build a website, in my Next Level Laser presentation, I literally covered almost everything in 90 minutes, where if you had your photos and your text figured out, I think that's the hardest part, is staring at a blank screen and figuring out what you want to say about me or how do I want to introduce my page. Once you have those things figured out and you have them just on a sidebar, it's really just drag and drop. So you really just need a home page, an about me, and a catalog page to get started. And you could probably have that up and running in less than an hour and a half, and then just be adding products as you go.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my question is what for your Shopify store, what are some must-have pages? So you said there was 3 there, right? So
Yeah.
if you can go a little bit, I know most of us understand the catalog, right, to have the
Yes.
products that we sell. Um, but the about me, like for the about me, why would you suggest for people to have an about me page, and what would you typically include in there?
So your about me page, I think, is what is our coup de grace. It's what's going to make us stand out as makers, because what we do, sure, some people can buy in the big box stores and they can get it cheaper. However, what we have the advantage on and why we can charge more is because people are building a know, like, and trust with you. So if you're not going to put your face out there and you're not showing them the maker behind the scenes, you're not extending a handshake to say, hey, I'm a real person. You're going to be dealing with a real entity. You're not going to go through a menu of press 1, press 2, press 3 to get help. This is who you're dealing with. And so by putting your actual face out there is important. I think, and I talk about it in my blueprint course a lot, but you have to find out your why and your core values and really add those to your customers. And your about me page is a perfect place to do that. Like, why are you doing this? What difference do you want to make in the community? And what core values are running your business? And so by doing that, people can start building that relationship with you, and they feel more secure in buying a product that they may or may not know is going to be good quality and it's not just off Temu or something. So your about me is really important. So I would spend some time there. As far as what I lay out there, I'm a big proponent of putting your picture there. If you don't like being photogenic, try and get over yourself. But put your picture, or at least a picture of like your machines, what are you making, your core values. Any Trustpilot or Judge Me or reviews are great to include on your About Me, or even have a separate testimonial page if you have a whole bunch of them, because people want to know that other people have done business with you. And I like to put some just pictures of how things are made and any behind the scenes reels that I've done on Instagram or TikTok and things like that too.
Yeah, I think it's just like you said, creating a more personable page, right? People fall in love with the people, not the brand. So, when they like you said, the know like trust, right? So if they know you, they feel like you're an actual person, they can relate to you, you have similar values, they're going to want to shop with you and they want to support people like that versus like you said, just a corporate entity. So definitely do that. I think a lot of us struggle with that part. And like you said, just get over it, share a picture, share some of what you do. It is, I hate to be blunt with that, but there are certain things we just don't like to do. But if it's
Mm.
going to help grow your business and put money in your pocket, you got to do some things that make you uncomfortable. So, like, I'm not the biggest proponent of being live all the time. I don't like to be in front of the camera. I've gotten over it for the most part, but it's what we do. So,
Absolutely.
I got a question here or actually, I have a statement from Regina Davis. Heather has a great Shopify course. She taught me to add alt text to my pictures. Her course has short videos that give you every step of the way. So she had high remarks for your course, and we'll put the links in the comments here shortly. But when we talked, she mentioned something alt text. Can you talk to us a little bit about what alt text is and how that can be beneficial to your store and searchable
Ab-
items?
Absolutely. So if you talk anything about Shopify, I'm going to harp on your alt text and naming your photos. Especially in the AI world, that is what AI is reading. And so what alt text is when you're adding a picture to your Shopify, once it's added, you can click on it and you're going to see image name and alt text. So you always want to make sure your images are named and named what you would actually, again, search for it. So personalized epoxy map or whatever it is. Your alt text, what it originally is for, is to help the visually impaired to see to see or read what pictures they're actually looking at, so their auditory would be able to read it to them. But it also is a mecca for SEOs, and SEOs are your search engine optimization. So by putting alt text in there on what that product is, even some of the features, or for us, because we're a DIY industry, I'm always adding like Fernandina Beach workshop project. And that way I'm ranking in SEOs for things to do in Fernandina, for local gifts, things like that, because it's a great place to not hide your keywords, but make them even stronger so people can see them. So
Perfect. So
every
yeah, I
photo.
think that's one that every photo should have alt text into there. So definitely something to get on because
Yes,
I didn't know that term up until a few years ago. I never even considered it, and now it just becomes second nature when you do it all the time. So just add it to the list of things you do with your listing.
absolutely. Yep. It's just got to be part of your standard operating procedure in adding a product or a photo. And it's intimidating if you are like, okay, I have 200 products and I've never added an alt text. You can go into your content and bulk edit and at least not have to click into each individual photo. So you can do that in one bulk and put on your favorite show and just start naming things. So,
So
oh,
you've coached a lot of people and you've seen a lot of websites and Shopify sites. What are some of the common mistakes you see in store design, at least from your opinion, on what can be better for a lot of people's pages?
oh, what a loaded question. Okay. So first of
Well,
all,
look,
like
I won't share my page. I won't share my page on here. So
I was gonna say, don't necessarily go look at my page. I will talk to me in January, or maybe, yeah, January, about speaking at Next Level. And I said, well, I'm gonna write this course. And I wasn't really doing it like I needed to because things happened. And so I broke my page intentionally. So the only way I would do it is to record a video. So I'm still rebuilding my page because I wanted to sacrifice for the good of humanity. But as far as things to avoid, remember that people don't need a novel. They're not going to read. People love to skim. So big chunks of paragraphs, please don't waste your time. Like bullet points, visual, you want to keep it clean where it's not, you can have bright colors, you can have things that are going to attract the eye, but make sure that they're cohesive. Whatever your brand colors are, set them into your branding in your theme development, and that way you're going to use the same colors over and over. So your eye features your products and your information, and that isn't distracted by everything else going on your page. I am a big anti pop-up person because it actually hurts your SEOs a lot. And it's nice to get the email and it's nice to get those clicks. But if you have too many pop-ups, we all know it's annoying. It's like watching TV ads. We get annoyed by it, and half the time people will just click off it because they can't get to the information they want, or it'll leave like a little residual. So I like to have my email links, but I embed them within my actual page so people have the opportunity to add their email, but I'm not doing it in a pop-up in their face because it will hurt your SEOs. And the other thing, and it's not so much visual, but minimize how many apps you add. Like, be very conscientious about what apps you're adding to your Shopify. There's some really great fancy ones out there, but they're going to slow your page down. And if it's not optimized and your images are like super heavy and they're like above 800 pixels, your page is going to load slow. You're going to have too many apps. It's going to make it load slow. And every single one of those is a hit against your optimization. So.
Perfect. So when you talk about apps, because I think some people, we understand apps on our phone, but when we're talking about apps within Shopify, can you give us a little bit more detail what apps are and what are some of the things it can do for your site to make it more user friendly in a sense?
Sure. So that is, I think, where Shopify shines. And again, I'm not a big WordPress or Wix expert. I know they have some plugins and apps that you can do too. But app developers for Shopify, what they do is it allows the basics of Shopify to exist, but it lets you customize it to fit your needs. So for example, one of the apps I really like is Infinite Options. And there's a couple variations of it on the market that work the same way. But of all of them I've tried, I keep coming back to it. Shopify has a problem when it comes to variants in the maker world because we have 4 million designs that we can add onto one substrate. If I were to list my Lazy Susan, for example, that's behind me, and I say, okay, well, you can have it epoxy poured, you could have it with this engraving, you could have it with that engraving and that engraving. The problem is when I list this and I have it 4 different ways, if I only have one Lazy Susan in stock, it now shows I really have 4 because I have these 4 design options that are really just personalizations. And so that's a error within Shopify. So what you can do is add an app on it that basically will marry the 2 products and say, okay, here's my design options or here's my personalization that all tie into this substrate. And so that way my inventory management can stay. So that app does cost extra. It's $12 a month, but it manages my inventory for me. It lets me make bundle deals so I can increase my average order value so they can do add-on products. So they can add a bow or they could add a greenery, and that's going to, increase how much they're spending with me. So there are apps like that that are important, and it's doing all the HTML and the coding for you. The problem is a lot of times if you have too many, they can start fighting. And so then the HTML gets messy. But apps that I do love are Infinite Options. That's what I was just talking about. Judge.me helps you collect reviews. So it's helping that automation of sending out, hey, review this product. And that way I'm building that trust pilot and trust with my audience. And then I use Smile.io for like loyalty points. So people can get points for shopping with me. They can get $5 off their next order. They can refer friends, those types of things. So I keep my apps really low. You don't need a lot of them, and that also is going to keep your cost low. But it is cool because if you have specific needs, like I said, all of our products have multiple ways we can engage with them. I needed a way to reference that, and so I can put an app on it instead of having to write all the code.
Oh, is there an advantage of apps versus having custom code written? Or have you experienced times where you could not find an app that needed to do what you did? Say you were on another site and you're like, I love that feature on that site. How can I now get that on my site?
So I'm going to reference that with 2 things. First, I'm always going to recommend staying with the free Shopify themes because as Shopify updates, they're going to update. And so if you buy like a theme on Etsy or you buy a paid theme by another developer, As Shopify starts to update things or coding starts to update, it creates a conflict. So for one, somebody's recommending to go free, right? So stay with the free. And then second, the reason I personally don't spend a lot of time writing code is because I'm also wearing a lot of hats. So I'm the maker, I'm the HR, I'm the coordinator, I'm doing all these things. I don't want to write code that then when Shopify updates a theme, now my code's going to break. So I try and use Shopify themes and then apps that integrate with Shopify, because then they talk to each other and they're going to update together. And so it keeps one more crazy thing off my plate, and I know that things are just going to work. So I found, although I will see features on websites that I'm like, oh, I really want it to do that, most of the time I can find a free or relatively free app that's going to do that, and I don't have to worry about getting really lost in the weeds with coding. And the blocks of 8 Horizon make that easy too.
Yeah, because I always wondered that, because some people say, well, I don't want to pay monthly. I'll just, get it coded. But it's the same thing with creating your own website. As things update, if it's not being updated as well, then you're going to have issues. So, like you said, if you're looking at the easiest situation for yourself and not have to worry about it, then paying for apps seem to be the way to go
Yeah.
for us who are busy enough.
Yeah, my general rule is if an app's not going to pay me back at least like 10 times ROI, then it's not worth it. So apps are meant to automate and make your life easier. So they better be working for you. So I don't have apps on there just for the sake of them.
Just
Like
to
I
have
want,
them. Yeah.
yeah, I need it to make it better for my customer, to have less clicks, to have higher conversions, so I make more money.
Yes, make it like you. I think the key point you hit there was make it easier for your customer, right? The easier it is for the customer to get what they need, exactly what they need, the quicker they're going to make those buying decisions, which puts more money in your pocket.
Absolutely.
If it became a complicated thing, they're just going to go somewhere else. They don't want to. I don't want to have to go through, like you said, 10 pop-ups and then have to enter all of this information. Make it as
Mhm.
easy as possible for them to place their order, and easy for us as the maker to get that information, because I think with personalization, that's the biggest struggle for a lot of people with their sites is, hey, buy this board. You can customize it. Now send me a message and tell me how you want that customized. And then I have 25 chats going. I have a sale on boards, and 35 people are messaging me in different places, and wait, which name goes on which board? And then I end up spending, a week organizing just the orders versus they order it how they want it, you get it, it's there, you make it, and you're done.
Yes, everything with Shopify to me is about efficiency. So I love my customers, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a huge people person. And as much as I love Betty, I don't want to call her because I know I'm going to hear about her dog and her cousin and her uncle and everything else. And so I want to make sure that I can expedite Betty's order, so I just have a good experience when she's picking it up already. And so that way, with products like, or apps like Infinite Options, every product that I have is, okay, here's the product, here's your personalization. If I need a logo or an update, they have a place to upload that. They have a place to check off that, they're going to hear from me in an app approval if they need it, what my timelines are, and everything is going to be done, and I'll have all the information I need on that one order without going back and forth with my customers. So
Just streamline the process.
yeah,
So
same with like booking
definitely.
parties. For those of us in the DIY industry, most of my private parties are people booking it at 1, 2, 3 in the morning. If they had to wait for me to respond, it's going to be just like those apps that we forget to cancel. They think they want to book, and then it slipped their mind, and now it's too late. So I want to be able to capture everybody right away when they're thinking about it, and so they can book, I get the sale, and we're moving on.
Perfect. This is a little bit ahead of what we were going to talk about, but I'll ask it because I don't want to lose the question. Stephanie asked, what's the difference between the Maker's Shopify course and the Maker's Blueprint course?
Oh, great question. So if you're in the maker space and you're leaning towards like DIY parties, or even just handmade gifts, Maker Blueprint is my original coaching program. So it lays out everything that I've built my business on, from the mentality to my procedures, my policies, my systems. It does have a mini Shopify course within that as far as setting up those basic pages, like I said, and how to get your infinite options set up. And then it talks about social media and managing your to-do list and things like that. So it's more of a comprehensive business course. And that leads you into having the opportunity to join our mastermind, which is a zip code protected makerspace. And we get together once a year and do an annual meetup, which is my favorite. So it is more business friendly in every component that I offer, and more courses and more Canva templates, everything like that. The Shopify course is literally diving into Shopify. It's still in founding member development, so it's a one-time cost, and I will continue to add videos to it, so you'll have lifetime membership, but it only talks about Shopify. There's not an additional Facebook group or anything like that. It's a self-standing course, so, but it'll go in a deeper dive.
Hopefully that answers your question, Stephanie, and feel free to reach out to Heather if you have any other questions about it, but we'll post all the links here too. So another question I get too is, when someone's new is, well, Etsy, it only cost me 20 cents to post, and Shopify, it's expensive to have your own site. Like, what is a typical, would you say would be a typical spend on a website with not a ton of apps, but someone who's just starting out with not a huge catalog of products?
Absolutely. So Shopify, if you pay by the year, is $29 a month. If you pay monthly, is $39 a month for the basic plan. For 75% of makers, the basic's going to be completely fine. I personally am on one level higher only because of the volume I do. The credit card processing fees are slightly lower, and I get bulk shipping discount rates. And so it pays the $30 that it's higher. I save infinitely more. So if you had like just 5 products or a small amount of products, you'd be paying the $29 and really just your credit card processing. So it's like 2.9%, I believe. You don't have to have a bunch of apps. If you're just going to need a personalization box, you could add that to every product just with code. If you want to start having more conditional logic where if they select this, then I need this question to appear or I need this variance to link, then like I said, Infinite Options is $12.99. That's really the only other app I would say you want to start with in the maker space. And so you're talking sub $50. I know 20 cents seems like, oh, well, that's so much cheaper. But for me, I play the long game. It's 20 cents every single time I sell that product versus I can list it once and I never have to pay again because I'm paying a monthly fee for all my products. Like I have 2,000 products, so I wouldn't want to list those on Etsy. It's going to be way more than that. And then I own the email addresses of when they engage, so that's worth marketing to me tenfold as well. So it is a cost of doing business, but like I said, you could easily get away with the $29 a month and be fine.
Yeah, so the entry barrier is not that high. It's an investment in your business, and like you said, you get to personalize it, you get to make your own page, and you control all of your information there. So it was a big change. But I think for some, and this is not necessarily a Shopify question, more of a business question is, well, Etsy has all the foot traffic. What are maybe some little strategies you have to or platforms you use to draw people in the beginning to your website?
Yep. So I do the farmers market once a month. So we're always sending people there as far as engaging with our page, and we're sending them promotions to engage back. All of my social media is linked back to my page too. So your social media is really kind of like their handshake to meet people, and then you want to draw them into your world. So I'm always doing things to get them to give me their email address so I can drive it back to my page. But really, your SEOs are huge. So if you're doing your alt text and your image naming, and especially locality based things, if you are selling local, you are going to start popping up more on Google. The advantage of being your own self-standing too is, like I said, you're not having attention deficit sparkly to other makers. So yes, if I put them on Etsy, that's great. But now my products have to be better photography, better looking, better pricing, and I'm playing that game against all the other side recommended products that Etsy is going to show them, because Etsy's in the business to make money too. So There's advantages to both. I'm never going to promote anybody to have all eggs in one basket. Like, you want to have a little bit everywhere, but I think it's super important to have your own site where you can build your clientele and start driving traffic to it. The other thing I do love as far as drawing people to me is I have it set up when I list a product, it automatically posts to Pinterest. And we have like some insane amount of views on Pinterest that drive back to our products. And I literally do not a whole lot. It just auto posts. So that helps a lot too.
Yeah, I think we talk about it is, you know, it's not just post and all these people are going to come running to your page and they're going to find you. But if you do all the little things, right? If you do the alt text, you have all the SEO set up, you have yourself out there promoting, are all the things that are going to help drive traffic. Um, I know a few people who had Etsy who now are on Shopify, and they tend to, when someone orders on Etsy, they include a card, a thank you, a coupon, and it drives them to their site afterwards. So, because I don't
Yep,
think you can ever say that on Etsy, but once they get their package, that's your own deal, right? I'm assuming.
exactly. That's just a warm invitation. So,
Yes, it's Kay. Come join us over here. I have a about me page. Let's see. They got a couple questions here. Stephanie says, well, one, she said, I will more than likely have some additional questions about the course. Can I send you an inbox or friend request? All
absolutely.
right. So
Just shoot.
look for Stephanie Greer.
I gotcha.
And then she had another, I am still confused about how the Pinterest thing works, even though it's connected to my Shopify. I, this is the first that I've heard that it's connected to it. So is it where you can set up, if you post a new listing on your Shopify page, that it will broadcast it out to different platforms for you automatically?
Yes. Yep. So it links, I have it set up you download the Pinterest app, which is free, and you link that to your Pinterest account. And then you just got to set up what board you want it to post to. Now, if you want to really maximize Pinterest, then you want to go into Pinterest every once in a while and actually repost those and pin them to different boards and move them around. But at least by having it linked, my product is out there. So we have this one sign I posted. It was like, take me down to Pumpkin City or something. I don't know. It was a play off a song. And that one sign keeps getting purchased over and over and over. And I've done nothing to advertise it. It's just an auto link to Pinterest, and then somebody must have pinned it and it goes into oblivion. And now we paint an orange sign a whole lot. So,
There you go. Now, does that work for other platforms as well, other than Pinterest, that you can have it automatically post to?
yeah. So you can do it to the shop app. You can do it to Facebook where you can like link your products. So if you're posting an image on Facebook or anything, you can actually click it and it'll tag your product to it. So you're not having to like send the hyperlink, and that helps because then they feel like it's good. It will send to TikTok shops. You can do House, you can do Amazon. I mean, almost everything. And then Etsy will link as well.
Everything.
And Fair. I do a lot with Fair.
And that's just usually just downloading the apps and then connecting everything together.
Yep. And then about once a month, I go in and check on it because
Cool.
sometimes something will get posted on Fair. Then I'm like, no, we don't actually want that on Fair. And I just make sure we unpublished it. But you have the option to select, we all just get in a hurry. And sometimes I'm like, oh, click
Yeah,
that
you
button.
just share it to everywhere. You're like, wait, I don't want that there. That is
Yeah.
not where I want that to go.
I don't want to do on wholesale. So.
Yeah, it's similar to when I make posts on Facebook and I don't want my mom to see it. I got to make sure to put, don't let my mom see this. Don't let my mom see this, or don't let this person see this. So yeah, because if my standard is just post it to everyone, and then I'll get a call. Hey, I saw your post on Facebook. What does that mean? Never mind.
Don't worry.
Blocked. So
For
sorry,
you.
mom. If you're watching this on YouTube, she's probably blocked on Facebook, but on YouTube she's not. So she'll see this. Sorry, mom. Don't mean to
Hey, Mom.
block you.
It was totally enough.
Stephanie says, "Do you have a course on Pinterest as well?"
No course on Pinterest, but anything like that, those kinds of extra trainings, although it's not in there yet because I'm still making sure I know all the ins and outs of it. In our mastermind, like once you go through Blueprint and Mastermind, I coach in there every Monday night. And so there's 5 years of trainings in there, and those kind of things, like how to do field trips and how to do um, things like Pinterest and email marketing, is all sitting in that course or membership.
Perfect. I think a key thing that we talked about earlier, and maybe some who are joining later, is if you were completely new, you have no Shopify experience, and you went into Shopify. What are First off, what are some of the things that, like you said, you should have ready to go so that when you do start building a page, you'll be you'll have a leg up versus in and then overwhelmed with Shopify and what I have to bring? What are some things that you think you should have ready to go so that it makes the transition a little bit seamless?
Absolutely. So have your products, even if it's only, 4 or 5, whatever you're listing, make sure you have your products, your product photography, a product description, which ChatGPT is amazing at coming up with product descriptions. I always prompt it to give me a hook, path, and facts. And so what I mean by that is I will put a picture of my product into ChatGPT and I'll say, I want you to write this in hook, facts, or paths, meaning have a strong hook that's going to hook my audience in. Paths meaning like who would it be good for? Why should they buy this? And then just the facts as far as size, material, those types of things. So have that for your products, or at least be ready to just copy and paste it from ChatGPT. And then have your pictures for your About Me, a little blurb about what you do, and any kind of frequently asked questions that your customers would ask. And again, ChatGPT is great at coming up with those for you too, so don't feel like you have to write from scratch. But if you have those basic components, there's going to be a lot of just general templates within a homepage, and they have it laid out. So then you can just add, here's the picture of my studio, here's a blurb about what we do. Then you have your collections or your products that you're going to feature, and you can have a few testimonials if you have those already from Facebook. If you don't, have a friend write you one, and you can continue to build on that. So
So I think you said earlier, if from start to finish, once you get in there, you can pretty much have a page ready to go in a couple hours.
yeah, definitely. And you have to remember too, like none of us start our businesses and our massive empires right out of the gate. And I'm a big proponent of always saying that done is better than perfect. And so you don't have to launch with everything 100% lockstep. Just get simple facts out there. Here's what I do, here's my homepage, and here's a handful of products that I can offer. And then you can always build to it. Your business, your website, they're all living beings. And so they're going to grow and ebb and change and pivot as you grow and ebb and change and pivot. So I think a lot of times we get stuck in the paralysis by analysis where, well, it's not as good as this person's that I'm looking at. Well, that person might be 10 years ahead of you, and that's okay. You got to start somewhere. So just sit down, put it out there, start a development site and follow along, and a few quick things, and it's not that hard to get your basic facts out there, and you're going to keep tweaking it as you find what your customers need. So,
Yeah, I think that's an important thing. That's something that we've talked about before too, is and that whole thing I've used with my kids and other people I've helped is, that whole old saying that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to become great. And most of the time it's we just don't start, you know. I was listening to a podcast by Alex Hermosi, I think a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about, it takes us about 20 hours of work to really get competent in something. Not great,
mhm.
but competent. But it takes us a year to get started on that first hour. And it's like we just sit around thinking, well, yeah, my site doesn't look good, so I don't want to put any work into it. Or I don't get the return on the site immediately. Like I posted on Etsy and no one bought. Well, Etsy sucks. I posted on
Right.
Facebook and I got 2 likes. It's not for me. And I hear that a lot, oh, social media is not for me. I posted and I'm not getting any engagement. And I said, well, how many times have you posted or how many times have you shared it? They were like, I posted straight for 3 days and nobody's commenting. And I'm like, oh, okay, 3 days. And they're like, yeah. So I just don't think it's for me. So it's the same thing with anything. It's just consistency.
Well, and it's important too, to remember that, and it's even more now, but it used to always be the power of seven, that people have to see something and engage with it 7 different times before they'll usually make a commitment to buy it or convert. And so if you're only posting it 3 days, you still haven't even met the minimum of 7. And I'm pretty sure now it's up to 12 with all the busyness of the world and the science of marketing, that you just have to continually put it out there and be consistent. And it is a lot of work, and it's grind, and it's things that aren't the fun part. But if you remember that consistency beats perfection, and you're just posting something out there and engaging with who does respond, it's like when you build a snowman and you start with this little tiny ball, it feels like it's not going anywhere. And then you start rolling and it gets a little bit better, but you're still not collecting a lot of snow. And then all of a sudden, once you start making it really big, you're collecting a lot of snow with every roll because the momentum has built. But you got to start by packing the really light, flaky snow. And sometimes that's the annoyingest part of business.
And that's when most of us end up quitting, honestly. It's like, oh, this is not a snowman. Get rid of this thing. I'll go on to build something else. So the next shiny object.
Exactly. But I always think of that line or the image with the diamond miners where he was like one hit away from like breaking into the whole big diamond mine, and he's turning around because he got discouraged. And I think that's just how I live my life. Like, well, this really stinks, but if I just take one more step, and if I just take one more step, like you never know when the epiphany will be. And it's taken a while to build that momentum, but we're still here 10 years later and buying buildings and buying equipment, and it works. So stay
Yeah,
with it.
that's I was talking with Crystal and of course another Heather. One time we were talking about courses, and what happens sometimes we do is we take a course, right? I've taken many courses thinking, okay, this is going to help me get somewhere, and I'll take it and I'm like, this hasn't helped me get where I needed to go. Or I've taken this, or I read this book and it doesn't help me get where I needed to go. And we forget that sometimes it takes, let's just say, for example, 30 steps. And that course got me from 1 to 15. But
Mhm.
because I didn't get to 30, I felt it was a failure. And then I take all these others, and then I take another course at the end, and it got me from 28 to 30. And I'm like, this is the best course ever. This one got me to my goal, not thinking that all the other ones that I downplayed, saying they didn't do it for me, didn't help me get to the point where I needed it to get to that last point. So it's almost like building a bridge, right? That last step, we're like, that's the best step because it finished my bridge. But without the other 29 steps, we would have never got there. So,
Mhm.
speaking of courses, I know you offer, if people who are looking at learning more about Shopify, getting into it or optimizing what they do in Shopify, you have a course. We're going to post the links in the comments, but you can go to PaisleyGraceMakery.com. Talk to me. I know you talked a little bit about it, but talk to me a little bit about at least the Shopify course.
Yeah.
What can they expect to get out of the Shopify course when they take it?
So like I was saying earlier, I call it founding member rate. So in there, the basics of all the modules are already recorded. So you're going to be able to build your homepage, learn how to customize your templates, customize your products, customize all of these things, infinite options, and that. It is a course that at the time I'm adding at least 1 to 2 videos a week in, but it is still at founding member rate because of that. But it's a lifetime course. So I'm going to continue to add to it. It's right now at $274. Starting in December, it will go up because I'm about to drop about another 20 videos in there. And then eventually it will be full price when I finish it. But it's really packed in bite-sized modules. I have an amazing ADD. And so sitting down for an hour-long webinar or an hour-long course is not going to let me get anything done. So I break it into really like 5 to 10 minute short clips so you can actionably take progress on your website and get it up and running. And it has gotten really great feedback. It's on a hub that there is discussion tabs within there. So if you get stuck, you can comment on it and say, hey, this isn't making sense, or I need more clarification. And I will pop in there and record another quick video and make sure that it fits your need. But Regina, I know she had commented earlier, she was one of my first people in there because I wanted her to rip it apart because she's very precise on things. And it's been great to learn. Shopify continues to update, and so it will never be a completely finished course because I'll always have to go back and re-record something. But my vision with it is that it takes out the fear of building a Shopify course. So you have somebody right alongside building it with you, and that you'll be able to manage it, because I never like people to use there are some web builders who you build it, they don't show you how they built it, and they make it really clunky, and then you can't manage your own site. When you come up with a great product at 2 a.m, you have to wait to pay them to add the product to then fix this, and it's a waiting game. So I want people to be able to be really comfortable managing their website, running promotions, and increasing their value, because it doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to pay anybody to manage your site. It's really locked and loaded once you get going. So
Perfect. Exciting. So, you guys definitely go check it out. Check out all the other things on your website, because you have a ton of content. You have a ton of resources on your site as well. Then check out the mastermind and this in-person event that is probably coming up in next year,
3
which is
months.
exciting.
So exciting. Yeah. And I will say, if you guys, aren't ready for it, if you just want little bits and tips, like I do have just a free Raising Makers community group. You're welcome to pop in. And I'm going to be trying to do a couple more Shopify shorts in there now that I'm actually home from all the travel of conferences. So feel free to pop in there too if you want to connect with me.
Yeah. So we'll post comments, or we'll post the links in the comments for you for clickable links, because you can't really click on these. But and if you guys have any other questions, feel free to jump on, ask them. We might not get to them all now, but we can go back through the comments and answer any questions. But yeah, thank you so much. It was great to have you here. I just wanted to, because we hear the questions in the community so often about the fear of jumping into doing their own website. And I'm not tech savvy. I am not a coder. And there's, like you said, it's once you have the information that you want to share, it's copy, paste, click and drag, and get it started. And I think that's the biggest advice that we give to anyone is get it started. You can look at the things that I've done 5, 6 years ago, and it's going to look like crap, but it gets better. Same thing with our sites. If we all had the same site from when we first started, we'd look at it now like, oh, I don't know if I like that site anymore.
Even the first board that I painted, my husband will not let me throw it away. And it's so cringe. It's like bleeds everywhere and it's awful. And he's like, no, you need to know where you started. And it's important to remember.
Yeah, and we've all gone through all of those trials and tribulations. We've all experienced the ups and downs. So I think for me, when I talk about a lot, is when we talk about investing in ourselves and getting from point A to point B as quickly as possible. Courses, mentors, all of those things. Even though sometimes we look at the monetary part of it and say, well, it's money, and I know money's tight for a lot of people, and I'm not saying that it's for everyone, but if your goal is to raise that earning ceiling and raise that floor and get to it quicker, you invest in yourself. And we're quick to invest in all the machinery. I mean, the two of us right here are probably not the best examples of not buying all the new machinery, but we've also understood that we invest in those things after we first invested in ourselves. So when you're looking at what investments you can make in your business, invest in yourself first, and the other things will come after. You'll earn more by investing in yourself than you would the newest UV printer or sandblaster or whoever else I'm calling out on that stuff. So, but definitely, you guys, so check it out. Go to the website, take a look there, reach out to Heather if you have any questions. She's always available. Check out her Facebook group. She'll post a link in there too. So a great community. Heather, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate going through the tech difficulties as well. So that was kind of fun. But I think you helped a lot of people here today, and I think more people are going to have a lot of questions, and hopefully we'll see more and more Shopify sites up there for people.
Yes, get it rocking. You guys got this. It's perfect time. It's Christmas. Put up ornaments. They go fast.
There you go. Yeah, they go fast. So, again, if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll get to them. If you guys are watching this later, please hashtag replay just so we can see how many more people are watching this. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it in my group. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Talk to you all soon. Heather, hang out for a little bit. If you have any last parting words you'd love to share with the community, I'd love to hear it, and then we'll jump off.
My parting words, I would just say be
Yes.
yourself. Yes, be yourself. Don't feel like you have to copy anybody else. And you have something really unique to offer the world. And like, you'll find it. It's great. And where there is a will, there's always a way. So you got this. Let me know if I can help. I'm always here. And it's great to meet so many people and come to Next Level next year. Hope I will be there.
Yes, you will. All right, you guys. Have a great afternoon. Talk to you soon. Heather, hang tight. We'll hang out for a little bit.
Sounds good.
Let's